Translator, Neen Tales. Editor, Fish Creek. This place is Fengdu, a forbidden realm for the living. The bird-headed mutant cawed, his voice eerily human-like. You are alive, and thus you should not tread here. The village chief's face remained calm, though his eyes gleamed with determination. But I am already here, he replied with a smile. If you wish to leave, the bird-headed mutant continued, its voice growing stern, a price must be paid. Intrigued, the village chief raised an eyebrow. What price do you speak of? There resides the king of hell in Fengdu, the creature explained, its eyes narrowing as it glanced downward. The king has taken notice of you and holds a certain admiration. He has a request. Should you fulfill it, you are free to depart. The village chief's expression shifted slightly, his curiosity piqued. What is this request? The bird-headed mutant let out a dry chuckle. Upon your death, you will belong to this realm. A thoughtful silence descended upon the village chief as he pondered the words. Then, with a serene smile, he spoke. The realm of the living and the realm of the dead, intertwined like two sides of a coin. If my death allows me to remain here, why would I refuse? Living outside means death here, and death outside means life here. It is a strange gift, but I accept it. However, I have more questions. The bird-headed mutant tilted its head, clearly agitated. You may ask, but I may not answer. The village chief's smile remained, but there was a glimmer of challenge in his gaze. Is Carefree Village the moonship? No. The bird-headed mutant replied flatly, its attention distracted. The village chief, taken aback, asked with rising urgency, Then why did the jade pendant lead Moore here? Why did it point to this place? And why has the moonship appeared here? The bird-headed mutant's frown deepened as it stared at its own beak, obviously irritated by the questions. The moon herders aboard the moonship have all perished, extinct. The ship was sent here by the last moon guardian. A dead man now resides on the ship. If you wish, you can speak with him. Perhaps he holds the answers you seek. A dead man? The village chief's confusion deepened. Could it be the moon guardian? Impatient, the bird-headed mutant preened its feathers with its beak, unfazed by the inquiry. You ask too many questions. Then what of the devil god that attacked me? Is Fengdu not the domain of the heavenly devil horde? The village chief pressed on. She belongs here, the bird-headed mutant replied dismissively. This land is ruled by the king of hell, not the heavenly devil horde. The creature turned away, continuing its preening. You will remain here. Just like her, the king of hell favors you greatly. The village chief let out a slow breath, his thoughts clouded. He had initially assumed this place to be the realm of devils, but his assumptions had proven false. The devil god he had trapped was no more than a powerful figure in this world of the dead. He asked again, Where is Carefree Village? With an exasperated flap of its wings, the bird-headed mutant turned away. Enough! You are insufferable. Don't forget your promise. When you die, I shall come for you. Do not follow the messengers of death. The village chief watched as the creature flew off, its impatience clear. He turned his gaze back toward the moonship, now rising and pulling the moon forward aimlessly. A bitter smile touched his lips. To be despised for speaking too much, it seems my old age is catching up with me. The village chief walked toward the moonship, the feeling of being mocked still lingering. Meanwhile, the devil god continued to struggle within the vortex of blood above. This devil god used the moonship to lure Muir here. She must know something about Carefree Village. It is a pity I can trap her, but cannot force her to reveal what she knows. He boarded the ship and made his way through its vast interior, noting the many palaces in disrepair. Broken walls and fallen weapons littered the ground. The moon-shaped weapons, mirrors, and other items scattered about seemed relics of a once great civilization. Passing through a large hall, the village chief paused in front of a grand sculpture. A three-legged toad, its body human but its head that of a toad, stood in eerie stillness. She. A strange, eerie laughter echoed from within the hall. The voice sang a haunting nursery rhyme. Row, row, row your boat, gently down the stream. Ignoring the unsettling sound, the village chief continued his exploration. Inside the grand hall, incense burners were overturned, incense ashes strewn across the floor, shattered bronze sparrow lamps and broken jade beds littered the space. It was clear that some great upheaval had occurred here. The walls of the hall were adorned with a mural depicting towering giants. their robes white as snow, as they herded the moon. The moon ship they controlled appeared only during the night, as they fended off vicious devils with spears, swords, and arrows. As dawn broke, the ship would retreat into the abyss known as the Moon Well. The village chief studied the mural closely, noting the handsome features of the giants, their brows marked with a crescent. So the bird-headed mutant was right. Muir is not a moon herder, for there is no crescent on her forehead, he murmured to himself. Circling the hall, the village chief encountered several massive pillars, each wrapped in thick chains that floated upward, connecting to a crescent moon. As the moonship moved, the broken moon it carried rumbled forward, sending fireballs tumbling from the sky. These were rocks from the shattered moon falling like meteors. The impact of the meteors was dangerous, for some of them remained partially intact and crashed into Carefree Village, leaving huge craters in their wake. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. The strange voice sang once more, its tone growing more unnerving with each passing moment. The village chief's spine tingled with an unsettling chill. Following the sound, he finally found the source, a massive face lying on the ground, its hair wild and disheveled. The face sang the nursery rhyme in a maddening, lunatic tone. "Moon guardians of the Moonherd tribe," the face muttered. Sitting down, the village chief took a stone and began to carve it into the shape of Muir's jade pendant. He asked, "Moon Guardian, have you seen this jade pendant before? Life is but a dream." The face giggled. "A dream." The village chief frowned. This Moon Guardian, having fused with the ship, had likely died during the process. His consciousness remained, but it was bound within the ship's body, driving him mad in the process. Standing up, the village chief prepared to leave when the face suddenly spoke again. "The jade pendant of Carefree Village?" Stopping in his tracks, the village chief turned back, hope flickering in his eyes. "You know where Carefree Village is?" "Of course I know," the face replied, its tone becoming more coherent. "We moon herders are from Carefree Village. The token of the Moon Guardian was crafted there, as was the moon ship. Yes, the moon herders. The moon herders." The face laughed manically, tears streaking down its cheeks. "Dead, they're all dead. Their bodies, shattered and scattered. Ha ha ha, they are dead. I ran, I left them. He he." "Where is Carefree Village?" the village chief demanded, his patience fraying. Gently down the stream, the voice once again broke into unsettling laughter. The village chief sighed and left, unable to extract more from the maddened face. Reaching the dock, he noticed his limbs had disappeared without a trace once again. He let out a quiet sigh, then smiled upon seeing the gold coin glimmering on the wooden pillar. Muir truly is thoughtful. The village chief took the coin, which shone faintly, and waved it toward the dense fog. Soon a small boat appeared, its lantern casting a soft glow. Stepping onto the boat, he stood at the bow as it glided into the mist. In the distance, he saw Chinmu running desperately, the silver threads of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures slicing through the air, cutting down the skeletons that charged at him. The village chief let out a relieved breath, but his heart remained heavy. As the boat sailed deeper into the fog, he could not shake the feeling that many mysteries remained unsolved in this strange land, and perhaps they would remain so until after his death. Lingjing truly lives without care, roaming the world and witnessing its wonders. Perhaps only after my death will I be freed from this burden, the village chief mused. He turned his gaze to the fog, the entrance to this enigmatic realm, slowly fading behind him. As the dawn approached, he could not help but wonder, would the entrance to this world ever return? And where would it appear next? Chinmu stretched his palm outward, fingers brushing against the air, his senses reaching out to the space around him. Yet no trace of the world's existence could be felt. His brow furrowed as the void yielded nothing, leaving him lost in thought. The village chief hesitated for a moment, then spoke, his voice carrying the weight of long-held secrets. "I once ventured into the living realm of the dead. It was a place beyond comprehension. Within its boundaries, I encountered a king of hell. This is no world of heavenly devils. It is something left behind before the darkness fell, part of the great ruins before they were consumed by shadow." Chinmu's eyes widened. The revelation struck him with the force of a lightning bolt. The village chief of all people had such an encounter? The king of hell. Continued the village chief, his voice filled with deep contemplation, was akin to a clergy, much like the sun guardian or the moon guardian, but there was no sign of carefree village within that realm. The bird-headed mutant provided no clear direction, nor could I discern where it might be from. The village chief paused, his gaze distant as he pondered the vastness of the great ruins. The world of the great ruins is vast beyond measure. In all my years here, I never imagined it held so many layers. At least 3 worlds coexist within it. Chinmu nodded solemnly, the weight of the revelation settling upon him. The great ruins, the dark realm in the night, and now the living realm of the dead. The 3 worlds intertwined in ways that no mortal could understand. Yet the encounter they had witnessed tonight was but a fragment of this vast and unknowable expanse. It would be a story few would believe, even if they spoke of it. As they walked back, they passed the village where they had met the messengers of death. The once bustling settlement was now overgrown, abandoned, and covered in the silken strands of spider webs. The passage of time had clearly not been kind to it, though it had been alive just the previous night. Chinmu paused, gazing upon the village. The memory of the elder carrying a lantern and folding paper boats in the fading light lingered in his mind. Such were the strange phenomena of the great ruins, mysteries beyond the reach of mortal understanding. Is there a connection between the living realm of the dead and the messengers of death? Chinmu asked, his voice filled with curiosity. The village chief shook his head, his expression unreadable. I do not know. The messengers of death do not belong to the living realm of the dead. That much is clear. The king of hell there is the ruler of great ruins, and I have encountered the messengers of death in villages like this in the outside world as well. They are gods of the netherworld, not of the living. Chinmu scratched his head in frustration. The terms, netherworld, living realm of the dead, messengers of death, twisted within his mind like knots he couldn't untangle. It was a complexity that threatened to overwhelm him. Carefree Village, the village chief continued, is even more enigmatic than the living realm of the dead. Finding it will not be a task easily completed. It is hidden in the folds of time and space. Perhaps one day we will uncover its secrets. Chinmu, ever determined, nodded. When I am stronger, I will seek out the truth of my ancestry myself. Village chief. He hesitated, unsure of how to continue, but the village chief understood his unspoken words. A knowing smile crept onto his face. You wish to leave the great ruins and train in the outside world? Chinmu nodded, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision. The Devil Cult Patriarch has sent a letter for you, as well as one for Granny C. I've read them both. He has but 7 years left to live, and it is only right that you go to the Eternal Peace Empire to see him. The village chief spoke slowly, carefully choosing his words. A bird must leave the nest to fly. Before the darkness came, I discussed this with Apothecary, Granny C, and the others. They all agreed. Chinmu's eyes shone with hope. When will I be able to leave, village chief? The village chief's expression softened. First, you must pass the tests of the village. Your path is not yet clear, Muir. You must prove yourself worthy. A deep sigh escaped Chinmu's lips. The tests, his path to freedom, seemed an insurmountable challenge. The 8 tests from Old Ma and the others had already been taxing, and now the village chief's test loomed before him like an unscalable mountain. Suddenly, Chinmu felt a warmth spreading from the center of his brows, flowing through his entire body, filling him with a sense of vitality he had never known. His vital chi surged, circulating within him as though awakened by some unseen force. Village chief's eyes narrowed, sensing the change. His expression shifted, and he felt the powerful surge of chi emanating from Chinmu's body. It felt as though a small sun had awakened within him. Muir? The village chief asked, his voice steady but tinged with curiosity. Has your spirit embryo awakened? Chinmu nodded. It has, but there is something different about my vital chi. The village chief's face grew thoughtful, but he said nothing more. His knowledge was limited, and the overlord body Chinmu had spoken of was beyond his comprehension. He could only offer words of encouragement. I've never seen a spirit embryo awaken 4 times. If it brings you strength, then it is a good thing. You have nothing to fear. As the day unfolded in the village, the villagers carried on with their morning routines. The morning sun shone, and the 3rd month of spring arrived. though the chill in the air persisted. Chinmu rose early, pouring water over his half-naked body, the coolness of the water waking him from his drowsy state. As his vital chi surged, the water evaporated in a burst of energy, and he was soon ready for the day. Butcher, grinning, asked for his share of the water. With a swift motion, Chinmu obliged, dousing Butcher with the contents of another bucket. Refreshing! Butcher exclaimed, flames bursting around his body as the water turned to steam. Old Ma emerged, stretching lazily. With a single movement, he summoned a green dragon, sealing his divine treasures, leaving only his spirit embryo divine treasure open. His voice rang out, calling to Cripple. The others gathered, and soon the morning ritual was complete. The village was alive with energy, the villagers preparing for the day's challenges. Muir, village chief, called, "Have you sealed the divine treasures?" Everyone nodded, and with a solemn air the tests began. Old Ma stepped forward. "You have learned the art of the fist from me, but you will lose if we compete in it. You may execute whatever techniques you have learned. If you defeat me, it will be considered a pass." Chinmu, his eyes gleaming with resolve, nodded. "I will use my fist to pass Grandpa Ma's test." Old Ma chuckled. "Ambitious, but you might find it impossible to pass." Both of them struck, and with a roar, Chinmu's vital chi exploded in a tempest of dragon force. His punch surged forward, and the air trembled as dragon marks appeared around him. Old Ma, in turn, used the same technique, but he was caught off guard by the ferocity of Chinmu's strike. The clash was like the collision of two titans, and the power sent Old Ma flying backward, crashing into Mute's smithy. The impact sent shockwaves through the village, shattering windows, sending teacups flying, and breaking the tranquility of the morning. How did Chinmu's cultivation increase so much? Apothecary whispered to village chief. "I don't know," village chief muttered in return, his mind racing. His spirit embryo awakened for the fourth time, and his vital chi, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. The test had begun, and the village would bear witness to Chinmu's strength in the days to come.